Yes, thank you very much, Sean. And once again, a very big welcome to all of our attendees this morning. Every Tuesday morning, FEM and IOPSA have sponsored these Toolbox Talks. So we'd like to say a very big thank you to our sponsors, both FEM as well as the Institute of Plumbing South Africa. We'd also like to say thank you to SIOSH, the South African Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, for accrediting these Toolbox Talks with 1 CPD point. So if you don't know how to do this, log on to your SIOSH membership portal through the SIOSH website, and you can go ahead and actually just capture this like you would capture any other CPD. Alternatively, just get a hold of Sean there in the background. He'll give you a little bit of advice on how to take this information and get yourself that CPD point for attending these Toolbox Talks. Now, this morning we are discussing registers and checklists, and it's been a little bit of a build-up over the past 3 weeks when we started talking about electric power tools, and then last week looking at electricity itself. And we've realized that no matter what we do or whatever task we are actually performing during the week, there are hazards that are really real to us out there in the industry. And again, we are speaking to all of you plumbers out there, and we'd like to welcome all of you on behalf of FEM as well as IOPSA, but also all of you other health and safety professionals that are logging in, those in different industries. Some of you are employees in different fields, and really these Toolbox Talks are designed for all of us because the principles of health and safety can be applied in any industry. So this morning, when we are going to be discussing registers and checklists, I want you to keep one statement in mind. And this statement comes from Henry Thoreau. And this is what he said: the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. Now, we have mentioned something very similar in our previous Toolbox Talks, that whatever it is you're giving of yourself is the cost that you attach to that process. For instance, many of us look at Toolbox Talks and think, well, this is a great way to exchange information and to get information ourselves on certain needed topics. Others of us realize that as part of a management system, this is one of the integral training tools needed with any company. Others look at it and say, well, it's a good informative 20-minute session, and we can join when we can. And all of these are not wrong in itself, but really the value we attach to something is what we are exchanging as part of our life. So let us take a look at registers and checklists and see how valuable these are actually to you. And this is obviously self-evaluation from your side. You'll need to look at your own registers and checklists, your own safety management system, as it will, and see what value you are actually putting on this. But let us start off with the exact meaning of the words register and checklist. What is the definition of a register? Well, if you look at the dictionary, it is just an official list or a record of names or items. A checklist, on the other hand, the definition of this is a list of required things to do, points to be considered, and often these are just used as a reminder. Now, with anything within the health and safety field, in fact, even with our own tasks that we are performing throughout the week, there is the right way to do it, and then there is the shortcut way of doing it. But it all depends on how you view it and what it means to you. So again, I want you to just keep in your mind this statement again: the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. So what do registers and checklists actually mean to you? Is it just part of your day-to-day requirements that has to be done? Is it part of a safety management system, a culture of health and safety? Does it become routine? Well, let us take a look at the first one, registers. There are many different types, but they all serve a similar purpose. Now, let us look at one simple one, an employee register. Now, an employee register is there to show which employees are on site at any given time, and it also keeps a good record of the employees who have worked and who are not on site at a particular stage. Now let us just think about this very simple register for a minute. There are many different types of registers, you'd agree, and one of them that we generally have is an employee register. Name, surname, ID number, telephone number, perhaps next of kin information, who to contact in case of an emergency, a very basic employee register, obviously with all very important documentation or information on this document, something that we would want to keep confidential as well. But this nonetheless is something that is required within a health and safety file. Now let us look at this. And again, I'm going to say it's a simple register because it really is. That information should be available to us at any given stage. This register is very vital when an emergency such as being evacuated from site because of a fire, an explosion, or any other reason for evacuation comes about. So taking a look at the picture on the bottom left-hand corner, here is somebody doing a roll call because of being evacuated out of a burning building. And then in the background, you can see the firefighters trying to put out this fire, and obviously people around not really paying attention on their cell phones. And here in the foreground is a health and safety officer trying to see who is actually on site. Now let us think of this simple register, something that perhaps we don't fill in often because we don't really value it. And yes, doesn't always come in handy on the day that we might fill it in. But in case of an emergency, this person is now trying to determine who is and who is not on site. Let us think of the dangers this poses. If your name is on the register and you are not at the roll call site, well, immediately, the emergency services, such as the firefighters, recognize that if you are not here at the emergency assembly point, you must still be inside the building. What does that mean? It means that they are now going to enter into that building and go and see if they can find you. Well, what if you did put your name down and then didn't really pitch for the roll call? You decided, while the firefighters are doing their job, I'm going to go and grab some lunch and not tell anybody about it. Or perhaps let's look at the other side of the coin. You got to site, viewed this register as something very simple and not very necessary. So you didn't put your name down onto this register. And the fire did break out. And you are one of those people stuck inside a building that is currently burning and is about to collapse. When the roll call is done and your name is not on the register and is not called out, no one is going to go and look for you because no one thinks that you are there. So a simple register could really become a life-saving tool in the right circumstances. Now, we're not saying that we always want emergencies or incidents and accidents to happen, but that is the reason why we have registers and checklists. It is in case of an emergency happening. It is our backup, our insurance, if we could put it that way, so that we are protected should something go wrong. Now, it's very similar to a safety belt in a car. We have to wear it. In fact, you look very good wearing a safety belt. You should always wear a safety belt in the car, but does it protect you every single day? Well, it only protects you when you are in an accident, and then it becomes effective in keeping you close in your seat. And safety belts protect thousands of people every year. So really, a register and checklist is very similar to this. Yes, it serves a purpose of helping us to keep record, and it also proves that we have registers and checklists in our safety file, which can then be audited by the safety department. But really, the true value of a register comes into play when we actually think of what its value is in case of an emergency. And here we can see the cost of a life is actually attached to a register being filled out or possibly not being filled out. So a good question to ask ourselves, how do we view our registers. What about checklists? Something that seems to be the bane of many people out in the safety industry is paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. And we understand that. Being in the safety industry myself, I deal with lots of paperwork all the time. In fact, I go through reams and reams of paper. I probably know the sawmills personally with the amount of paper we go through. And that is because we design, implement, and maintain safety management systems all the time and read a lot of documentation on specifications and health and safety programs. But there is a reason for this. And the reason for a checklist is the same as a register. There are many different types of checklists, and they serve similar purposes also. But a checklist is a reminder, a record keeper, and also a guideline for us as management, employers, and employees alike. But let us think about a simple checklist, a hand tool or portable electrical tool checklist. And in this case, I'm going to draw your attention to a grinding checklist. So if any of you ever had to work with a grinder, a baby grinder or a big grinder, it doesn't really matter what type of grinder you're working with, this is a portable electrical tool, something that should be inspected before we use it. And the reason why I say before we use it and not daily is daily is open for interpretation on what time during the day you should inspect it. So we try and move away from that whole daily point of view, and we say before we actually use this tool. And the reason for that is before something can go wrong, we want to have inspected that. Now just think about this. If we took a grinding checklist before we used a grinder, and we used it to keep record of the grinder and the condition of the grinder, we are then reminded of what to inspect on the grinder. One of them being the actual disc that is going to be used. And we are looking for any flaws or cracks or any defects in this tool. And then it also guides us on how to inspect or what we are looking for. So not just the body of the actual grinder, but what about the body of the grinder are we looking at? So this is the purpose of having a checklist. Now, is it really that valuable to you at that stage? Well, again, like a register, let us do the same for a checklist. In the bottom left-hand corner, you will see a picture of something that went wrong. Here, a baby grinder was used to perform a task. We're not too sure what task it was, but obviously some sort of cutting or grinding. You seems to have a cutting disc there. And this disc actually broke, it shattered, and it almost took that person's eye out. Now, if you look very closely, he does have safety glasses on. Now, many of us will think, wow, thank goodness he had PPE on. Which is more important? A checklist to inspect that the tool is safe to use, or the PPE in case this would happen? Well, I'm sure many of you would agree, rather have the checklist first, because this is your first line of defense before something goes wrong. But on top of that, as an additional safety measure, we also wear our PPE should something go wrong. So here we have what we call two lifelines. We have a safety management procedure, which is a checklist that is protecting us from damaged grinding discs or damaged tools in general. And before we use these, we ensure that they are safe to use. But should something go wrong, we have the additional lifeline of the added personal protective equipment, which is really the last line of defense in any management system. And we'll see why we say that now. But really, again, we're going to ask you, what value do you put on your checklists? Do you really see it as this valuable when using that tick box exercise, going through your registers and checklists, just saying, yes, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, I have everything, instead of really putting a value to it? Well, in this instance, should that grinding disc have exploded and the person did not use the correct PPE, he could have been blinded today. Something that none of us want to experience. Well, let us not end on a negative note. Let's look at the more positive aspects of a safety management system. Now, we always say that prevention is better than cure, but at the same time, we need to find out what is the cause of what we are wanting to prevent. So in this instance, both cases of the register and checklist that we looked at, an employee checklist as well as a grinding checklist, these two things are extremely vital. So an employee register, making sure that we fill it in case of a roll call needing to be done. And then a grinding checklist, ensuring that the tool we are using is safe and that it will not cause a flying or broken disc hazard that could potentially cause serious injury. Now, we don't know that it's always going to hit our eye. It could miss the eye and lodge in our cheek, hit our head. It could take off part of our nose. It could hit our body. We actually don't know what will actually happen during that grinding disc actually exploding. So really, the checklist is there to protect us to a degree. But as a whole, data really shows that a poor management system is really the cause for the majority of accidents. Now, this is coming from a man who is actually an engineer, a statistician. He's a professor, an author, he's a lecturer. He was also a management consultant for a very long time, all the way up to December 1993. And he educated specifically in electrical engineering as well as specialized mathematical physics. And his name is William Edwards Deming. And you can go up and just take a look at him on Wikipedia if you want and look him up. He worked very closely with other safety professionals in the industry, such as Herbert Heinrich, as well as Frank Bird, and they come up with different type of statistics, basically stating that if this would to occur, this would happen, these are the effects. And registers and checklists played a very big part of a management system because it worked within the processes of how to go about keeping you safe. So really, this became an integral part of safety. It wasn't just a checkbox exercise. It was to help us in the prevention of unsafe behaviors and unsafe acts. Now, unlike Frank Bird's theory of stating that if we are unsafe in just behavior or acts, this is the lead cause of major accidents and incidents occurring, such as fatalities, we look at poor management systems as the cause of the majority of accidents. The reason being is it is not routine. It is not part of where we are going. So a safety management system must be planned, documented with registers and checklists, as well as other types of documentation such as procedures, safe working procedures or policies. It must also be verifiable, and it must then manage your hazard and risk. So it has to be effective in doing this. And this is where an effective audit must come into play. Now, if you need any of this information, or if you want the references where I got this information from, please drop me a mail or even send me a comment now with your email address. And I'll be sure to send you the link as well as the person's name, William Edwards Deming, who you can go and look up on the internet. But again, why do we want to use this information to protect ourselves? Well, again, it is a very simple process of filling out a register or using a checklist. But if we keep these things serious in mind and we remember that a register and a checklist helps us to keep a record of information, it reminds us of what needs to be done or needs to be checked, and also guides us in managing the safety of that specific object or equipment or tool. This will put us into a routine of safe behavior. It will help us to develop safe practices, and it will lead to a more successful safety management system. So really protect yourself against these dangers by something as simple as a register and checklist, and take it seriously. So I'd like to say thank you to all of you for joining our Toolbox talk this morning. Look out for the Zulu Toolbox talk next week, Monday, also at 7 a.m. In the morning. And then for those of you who are IOPSA members only, so please, we need to stipulate this. If you are a member of the Institute of Plumbing SA, you have been approved to have the following 2 courses: First Aid and Firefighting, every month during the year of 2019. An additional training week has been added. So for those of you who have not yet booked your spaces for KZN, the week of the 13th of August, you have the opportunity of joining these 2 courses. And then for those of you in Gauteng, the September 10th and 11th will be the First Aid Level 1, and September the 24th, your basic firefighting training. Need any more information, please get in touch with us. Chris at ohss.co.za or safety@iopsa.org. Alternatively, you can get a hold of info@ohss.co.za, and we can take all your questions, comments, as well as any suggestions on the Toolbox talks that you are hearing. So we look forward to seeing you next week. As it is the first Toolbox talk of the month, it is going to be a how-to section on policies. How can we write, implement, as well as monitor our policies for effectiveness in managing our health and safety. So tune in next week, and we look forward to hearing from you during the week. Thank you very much again, and we hand it over back to you, Sean.
All right, perfect, Chris. I'm going to go ahead and end the session off now. We do not have any questions. I've gotten an email or 2, which I will be sending through to you a little bit later today. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Please remember the survey on the way out, and enjoy the rest of your week, guys.